everybody. It's showtime in the University City. And for those of you that are just dying to know when Hoppy was going to return to the studio, your day has come. The Hopster back in the saddle again.
Well, the security bracelet's been removed. I now have freedom of movement.
The HOA let him back out after he violated their snow removal covenant. He was sitting in that house confinement for the last couple of weeks. Finally let him out. We got a lot to talk about. Utah recap, UCF preview, and the Big 12 tournament ready to go. All of that and more coming up on Three Guys Before the Game. For those of you that have a scorebook at home, this is episode 621, and it's brought to us by Jan Dill's Attorneys at Law. They won't take no for an answer. Jan Dill's Attorneys at Law. By Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. A quarter of a century. By GoMart. Get a GoMart rewards card and instantly begin saving on food and fuel and everything else in between. You can go to gomart.com to get the card or just download their app. Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. That was Jacques Cousteau's favorite marine dealer.
Nice Jacques Cousteau reference.
Three Guys brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's biscuit.
When did you guys get back? This morning?
This morning. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers.
Brad owes property taxes in Utah because they're so long.
Spreads on Stats coming up from Conley CPA Group. Yeah, it was a long trip. It seemed shorter than the Houston, Colorado trip.
Oh, did it?
To me, it did.
Because you weren't traveling as far.
And we stayed an extra day on this one. We were gone 5 nights, 6 days.
It's like a vacation. 5 nights, 6 days for the low, low price of $399.
So that's the third time I've been to Utah. That's a great state.
You like it, right?
That's just like you turn your head. It's like you're inside of a living postcard.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Those mountains are unbelievable.
Yeah.
I thought it felt longer than the Houston, Colorado trip.
Oh, I didn't.
So we stayed in the same area. Like that other one broke up the trip. Yeah. This one felt like you just hopped on a bus. You were still in the same place. Beautiful area, though. Beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
You guys came back 1-1. Take that all day.
Got to win.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't, like, anything can happen after that. Like, you get a win. It's like, so who? Okay, we're
you
good.
Take that.
West Virginia's 4 Big 12 road wins now. That is more road wins for the Mountaineers than the last 3 years combined.
Oh, I got some other stats on that, too. We don't have to do it now. But I got some other things on that.
I'm sure you do. Hoppy's obvious observations are coming up, brought to us by absolutely no one, obviously. Brad's stats as well, brought to us by Conley CPA Group. We're going to recap Utah. We're going to preview UCF. And there are still many, many scenarios that are in play in regard to West Virginia getting the bye to go into the Big 12 tournament, trying not to play on Tuesday. At this moment, as we record, it looks like for that to happen, and there's a bunch of different things, but basically this is what has to happen. West Virginia has to beat UCF. That's a given. Arizona has to beat Kansas at Kansas.
Good chance of that.
Iowa State has to beat Kansas State at Kansas State. If those 3 things happen, WVU will bye Tuesday, play Wednesday. If not, the world champion Mountaineers will play on Tuesday.
Tony, think about this. You look at these Big 12 standings. I mean, Houston, Texas Tech, Arizona, BYU, Iowa State, we know about them. Baylor, 10 wins. Kansas, 10 wins. TCU, 9 wins. Kansas State, 9 wins. West Virginia, 9 wins.
You could have 5 teams at 10-10.
It's all bunched up, yeah.
5 teams at 10-10. Senator, top of the day to you.
There's 6 teams within 2 wins of each other in those conference standings.
Yeah.
That's what we've talked about, the depth of this league.
And you've seen that play out all year.
8 within 3 wins of each other.
That is a fine-looking quarter zip.
Pretty well. Fine-looking, Phil.
That is a gorgeous one.
It's a nice one.
And Houston 18-1 in the league. I mean, they were just dominant. Beat Kansas. I watched that game. Beat Kansas.
That's what surprised me, given the depth of this league, that there's a 4-game gap between Houston and Texas Tech and Arizona in second. I did not. We've watched a lot of basketball. Houston's excellent.
Yeah.
I did not think there was a 4-game gap between first and second in this league, and I wouldn't have cared who you took as the first place team. That really surprised me. I give them a lot of credit for finding a way to only lose one conference game.
Yeah, and their loss was at home to Texas Tech in that very controversial game where Grant McCaslin and JT Toppin got ejected early, and the Texters came back there.
Well, yeah, what would be the odds? 4 months ago, if we said a team will win every road game in this league.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. You
wouldn't take it.
Wouldn't take it.
And West Virginia, as a 13th place preseason pick, potentially could finish as the 8. That's good. All right, let's jump in. Here's Hoppy's obvious observations. And he's had a lot of time to think about these since he's been on that home confinement.
Yeah. Well, a couple things. One is that BYU, and I know that was like last year now, a long time ago, is that's the kind of thing you've run into a couple times this year, Brad, where you started out okay, but then they made shots and you didn't. At one point, I think, into the first half, beginning of the second half, they made 18 straight points. West Virginia shot 33%. Javon was limited, and you're at BYU, and you got beat. The big thing was what would happen after that. And you go to Utah, and you win the game 71-69, and that's a win, man. That's a major win. You started slow in that game, but you finished strong. Scored the last 7 points in the game. The game was tied at 58. And then West Virginia had, at one point, West Virginia scored in 3 straight possessions. So, good performance coming off that loss and on the road to win that game. And then I did this. I'll go ahead with this. Is that West Virginia is on the brink, and we'll talk about the UCF game, of winning 19 regular season games. Okay, you're at 18, winning 19. All right, think about this. Now, you're judged these days, what? Not so much by regular season wins, but by tournament play, how deep you go, all those kinds of things. But think about this, guys. West Virginia, if they win Saturday, will have 19 regular season wins. Last season, and I'm just talking about regular season wins.
Right.
Last year, regular season, they had 9. Season before, they had 18. 21-22, they had 15. 2021, they had 18. 19 and 20, they had 19. 2018, 2019, they had 14. And before that, for 3 or 4 years, was really a hot run by Huggins. You're winning 22, 24, 24, 23 wins during the regular season. That was a great run during the Huggins era. But for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for the last 7 years, Brad, for the last 7 years, only once have you won 19 regular season games, and you got a great chance to do that Saturday. Think about that. Think about that.
100%.
Those are great numbers, all while losing your best player.
Right.
That's the other caveat that I think has to come into that, and I think those numbers back up, Tony, what you and I have said all year. This is as good a coaching job as you can remember. The Darren and this staff, and I always hesitate to say that, because when you say it's a great coaching job, that I don't mean to take that away from the players either, because I think everybody's involved in this. This has been outstanding X and O'ing. It's been outstanding culture building, and I give a lot of credit to these players for buying into it, going after it, and that was a hard game, guys. We'll get into this more when we talk Utah specifically. Again, that was a long. Tony and I weren't doing anything. We're just hanging around talking, right? That wasn't, and that was a long trip for us. Those players, that's who it's a long trip for. Having to stay engaged, having to follow the game plan, having to be physically ready to go, playing at some elevation in what was in BYU, one of the toughest environments we've seen all year, and going against a Utah team that couldn't have been further from laying down.
Right.
I mean, we'll talk about that too. You talk about the job Josh has done in a short amount of time getting his team ready to play. That was an absolute war as well. That was an NCAA tournament type of atmosphere between two teams. So I credit the players for staying engaged throughout the season as well. A really impressive collective effort by this group when you had no idea what to expect heading into this.
Yeah. I would say you're right, Brad. No idea what to expect, except that what have you come to expect about this team?
That they're gritty, they're gutty, they fight, and they're going to have a really good game plan.
Yeah, they're going to be prepared. Right. And that's what you get. And sometimes you run up like BYU, run up against a tough environment, against a really good team or a Houston. But most of the time, the vast majority of the time, you take your shot.
Yeah, and the irony of that is that might have been one of the best game plans. That first half game plan that they had in place that no one had tried on BYU was absolutely working. If you could have made a few shots, maybe you don't get out of there with a win, but you certainly make them sweat a little bit longer than what you had to. Just couldn't make any shots, and that puts everything else secondary when those balls aren't going in.
Good points, Hoppy.
Thank you.
Despite the fact that they're obvious, those are very good. Salient points.
Play to my
He kind of went
strength.
off brand. Those weren't all that obvious. Those were some good numbers. There.
Your
That was pretty good.
Your 19 regular season wins over the last 7 years. That's pretty good.
Well, you're good if you get 19. If you win Saturday, then you will have been better than the average for the previous 6 years regular season.
That's great. Yeah. And the asterisk that will always have to be placed on this team, it's ATD after Tucker DeVries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
8 games in, you lose them. Pretty much, yeah. Makes it something to wrap your arms about. What do these teams have in common? West Georgia, Mercyhurst, Tennessee, Martin, Niagara, Maryland, Eastern Shore, Indiana University, Indiana, Iona, DePaul, West Virginia, Kentucky. That group of teams are the teams that did not return a single point on their roster from a year ago. Only 2 of those teams will go to the NCAA tournament, Kentucky and West Virginia.
Yeah,
And Kentucky,
it's Kentucky.
they're probably in the neighborhood of minimum $4.5 million NIL, maybe a little bit more. So that kind of puts into perspective what you're getting into there. So that's been a good story, and I hope Saturday. I think fans know they'll be there Saturday, and they need to take the lid. They need to take the lid off the Coliseum in appreciation of what these guys have done, and for the 6 seniors that are going to walk. And then, oh, by the way, here's a fresh piece. There's a ground chuck roast we're going to throw into this pool of water and then let the piranhas eat, because if you finish the meat, you get to the NCAA tournament. You will go into Kansas City, whether it's next Tuesday or Wednesday, locked into the NCAA tournament if you're 10-10. You know you're in, and you're a win away from doing that. So, okay, crank it up. Mm-hmm. And I got some other news.
I kind of think you're in right now, but
I do too.
I know what your point is.
I do too.
What now? You got other news? What?
I got some other news.
What's that?
BYU, crowd, atmosphere.
Yes.
For real.
Really? Pretty strong.
Second to Allen Fieldhouse.
Really? They get it going, huh?
Big.
Did it
Boy,
affect
and that second might be decimal points.
Yeah, it's
that
borderline.
I mean, I maybe could make an argument against you there. Now, Allen Fieldhouse brings the tradition piece into it, and boy, it got rocking when we were there on New Year's Eve. But that BYU environment, they were on it early, engaged. I mean, they do the starting lineups along with the PA announcer. The whole student section is saying the starting lineups with the PA announcer. They know every word.
Wow.
At guard.
You see what they do on their starting lineups? You got this massive scoreboard. They drop this curtain down.
Yeah.
From this all the way down on all sides, and then they shoot the image of the player.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
It was an impressive operation, but just the attendance. I mean, 18,000 people packed in there. There wasn't a seat available.
No.
Did it affect the game?
Absolutely, it impacts the game.
It did?
Absolutely, it impacts the game. Yeah. No question. It gives those guys energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to Iowa State and win in overtime. So, I mean, they're good. They're playing hot right now.
I think you're right. That's what West Virginia will bring Saturday when that building's filled up. Great start time, 5 o'clock. That'll be great for folks. You get in there in a game that, Tony, as I've been saying, I thought you got to 9 wins in the league and you're in the tournament. You certainly would, though, feel a lot better. You get to 10, you're not even debating it. Mm-hmm. Real chance to do that on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. That's a twofold thing. Honor those seniors that have come in and done such a great job this year. But then, 2, we've seen it. You can affect the game.
Yeah.
Affect the game.
Yeah, why don't you do that, right? Go out there one last time.
Yeah, and we'll get into this, but that's a curveball with UCF. I mean, they were in the tank, and then they came out and they went 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. They got some guys that can score.
Some?
A couple of guys. And I got a stat for you, too. I got 2 stats for you coming up later.
Wow. He's trying to infringe in on your territory.
No, this is obvious stuff. This is not down into the weeds like the senator.
All right, great time of the year for hydration. Brad and I just came back from Salt Lake. I don't know if it was the humidity or what, but we look like Kercheval out there going to lip balm. I mean, I'm like constantly, my hands are all cracked. They're all bloody and everything. My lips are all dry and everything. And I said, you know what I needed? I needed one of those Comax Business Systems water machines. They're absolutely terrific. You can bring one into your business place. Comax has those right now. Keep the folks that work for you healthy, happy, hydrated. They've got the new I-12 water system, which I'm going to tell you what, Clark, it is an absolute dandy. That bad boy produces water plus 44 pounds of ice, 8 pounds of additional storage. If you're someone in the business place and you're saying, hey, we're done with all the plastic bottles, I'm sick and tired of lifting all those plastic bottles. I ain't going to Sam's. I ain't going to Walmart, bringing all that plastic water bottles in there. Put the machine in. They get a nice old big, probably get a Tudor's biscuit travel mug. Fill that thing up with water, right? And you're good to go. So if that's something you might be interested in, Comex now, along with the other items that they offer, have that. Their new water systems. Check it out. ComexWV.com. ComexWV.com. All right. We need to recap, and we also need to preview. Let's do the number thing. It is time for spreads on stats.
So I checked the numbers. We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes a heater.
Let's jump into the analytics portion of the show.
Ready? 5, 4, 3.
I kind of missed this song since we didn't record on
I know.
Monday. I got it on my hit list. Conley CPA Group provides spreads on stats. They do provide value beyond numbers, complete public service, accounting, consulting, serving clients throughout West Virginia and surrounding states, celebrating birthday number 40. That's right. Experienced local professionals will walk you hand in hand. What's the best thing for your business? They got it figured out. You can outsource your accounting. You can outsource your CFO services. All right, so let's go back to Utah recap here. Great win in the sense that, I don't have the number in front of me, but when you get down double digits on the road, I would imagine the stat on winning is not good. And yet that's what West Virginia did. So great recap with the Utes. What'd the computer tell us?
Let's dive into a couple different things. I think the biggest thing that jumped in terms of why you got that win, how many times have we said this? You had multiple scorers. Not only was Javon scoring, and we usually ask for one or two more. How about you got all three? Amani with 12, Yesufu with 12, JP with 10. Those guys made shots. That game turned when you started making some other shots and freeing up space for Javon Small to work. So I thought that was critical to the game, and a game that was just a battle. I mean, you absolutely had to fight again every possession in that game to walk out of there with a win, and you did. And I thought that was a tribute to the Javon first and foremost, and we'll talk about him individually because again, that was another first-team All-American, Big 12 Player of the Year type performance. He just takes over games, Hoppy. He just continues to play at this really high level, but you had a bunch of guys mixing in there and doing it on the offensive end. That's the most points off catch and shoots in Big 12 play, second most on the season.
Excuse me?
Made open shots.
How many did they get?
21 total points off catch and shoots.
How many open looks did they have?
I'll go back and pull that. It wasn't as many as you thought. I'm not so sure they got those numbers right. I felt like there were more open shots than what the computer may have credited it with. Because I thought they had some looks. And
folks on the scores table there, you mean?
No, there's a different group that does
There's a different
charts
group?
that.
Because I thought there
that charts
might
that.
have been a little bit of tension down there in that press row, not table with you.
What now?
No, they got.
Brad tries to help during the course of the season. He's tried to assist. He's tried to assist the. Where was that? Where you gave some assistance to the
Baylor?
Baylor has a situation there with the shot clock. Brad was trying to help him during the course of late moment play.
Same at Utah. Just had to help a couple times. Score was not reflective of what was happening. Just tried to help.
You're involved. You're tuned
trying
in.
to help,
You're paying
huh?
attention. Yeah. You're there
Appreciate
to help.
the help on my stuff when I need some help on things. So just there to help. West Virginia, very good again out of timeouts. 15 points off timeouts. And you saw that again late in that very last shot by Javon with the bank where they had one play designed, had to go to the backup part of that play, clear out the side for Javon, let him go to work. So that was another big area. Excellent game for the pick and roll ball handler. It's only the third game since Iowa State where West Virginia was in double-figure points off the ball handler. But here's what was interesting. It wasn't all Javon. Multiple guys scored off the pick and roll. Joe got some, JP, Sincere, Toby, all off the pick and roll. So it wasn't just from Javon. We talk so much, guys, about how this staff and Darren come up with specific game plans that are specific for the team in which you're playing. It is not just we're going to run an offense and we're going to perfect our offense, or it's this team does what and how do we best attack it? And one of the themes for this game was back cuts and cutting through the lane and take advantage of their size. Movement, keep moving. Make those big bodies have to chase you. If you let them stand still, you're going to be in trouble. Make them move. This game had multiple play calls for Javon on cuts. And guess what happened? He had a season high in points off cuts, including the backdoor play on the out of bounds that I think I said it 150 times on every baseline out of bounds. Hoppy, I kept saying, there's a look in here because you normally curl him off around looking for the three, and teams are going to start cheating. And as soon as you cheat, he jabs you and cuts back toward game in the second half right in front of the West Virginia bench. Got an easy, might even get a dunk out of that one.
He did. It was a surprising reverse dunk. I didn't know where the dunk part came, but he went under the basket, so you think he's going to lay it up. All of a sudden, he just went all the way up and just tomahawked it.
I think that was because the first dunk attempt by him didn't go. He said, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do here. Going to put a little exclamation point on this thing. I'm getting up on a reverse. Hammer it. He was great again, wasn't he? I mean, he's so good, guys. He is just so, yeah. How would you defend him? He would be a nightmare to play against. I'll keep saying it. I think the guy's player of the year. I know he doesn't get it because West Virginia is probably not even going to get a bye in this tournament, so there won't be votes for him. He should get it based on how he's performed and given the level of production that he has put forth when he's the centerpiece of every game plan.
When on that, can you think of it? Look, there's a lot of good players in this league, and you're right, he won't get it for a variety of reasons, but can you think of another player who has meant more to his team than Javon Small?
No. You cannot.
No.
You can't find one.
Nope.
I mean, Hunter Dickinson's had a fine year. JT Toppin has had a really good year. Other guys have helped carry that team at times. Omier for Baylor has had a very productive year. If you took him off that team, how much different are they? Right? They have other LJ Cryer, very good season, but Houston's loaded with guys. West Virginia asked Javon to go out every game and lead them in scoring and assists and hold the ball 90% of the time.
And get face guarded and get pushed and get held.
They're face guarding him again for the other night for a while. And what did he finish with?
19? Do you have 19?
Yeah. 19. And 7 assists.
Yeah.
18 and 7 assists.
Yeah.
While being face guarded. Player of the year. Should be player of the year. Thought the defense was really good too. Gabe Madsen was the focus of the game plan, and he came out blistering hot, Hoppy, and that was a concern because the first game in Morgantown, they shut him down. He came out and hit 3 of his first 4 threes, and you went, oh, this might be a little bit of a challenge here on senior night. Gabe Madsen was cranked up.
He's a guy that can get 8. He could get 8 threes in a game.
No question. And he finished with 23 points, but just 2 of 10 after that really hot start. West Virginia had multiple guys on him at the end. Sincere locked him up and got all over him and made him very difficult. And Hoppy, Tony and I remarked a couple of times during the broadcast late, he looked winded. He was really struggling to catch his breath, and I think that was because of a couple things. One, offensively, he was having to work so hard to get the ball and get a look. That was taxing. And then 2, defensively, multiple West Virginia guys just kept moving and moving and moving. So I thought they did a great job of handling Gabe Madsen after an incredibly hot start. Let's stay on defense here for a second. Sincere Harris, I like to point these games out when he has them. He had another game, guys, where he had more steals than turnovers. And this is usually the assist to turnover ratio you hear people talk about. I haven't heard much steal to turnover ratio except on this show. Sincere did it again. That's his 17th game with 2 or more steals. West Virginia 11-6 in those games. How about the last 3 games when West Virginia's gone 2-1? Sincere with 8 steals, 2 turnovers. 4-1 steal to turnover ratio, which is just a ridiculously stupid stat.
Yeah. No. It's a fun team.
Oh,
Been a fun team the entire year.
It has been.
Each guy doing things at various times. Good guys.
Yeah, everybody's stepping up.
And the effort.
Well, listen, the American Red Cross player of the game, Eduardo Andre.
Yes.
He left a pint. Of red, right? They're a red school, right? A lot of red around that building. But there were several times I had to go get the red off the floor. My guy
Cotton stuffed up his nose.
I don't think they'll be able to reuse that towel. That towel probably had to go in the trash.
And just dispose.
When they took that towel off of his face,
Yeah.
I don't know if they showed it like clean on TV. It looked like a red towel. It literally looked like a red towel. And for the fact that he came out to play in the second half and then made plays in the second half, that is an absolute, put that one down in our book of great efforts.
Great effort. I thought no way is he coming back in there, and he comes back and he catches that alley-oop in particular there late, finishes that off. Really tremendous. This was a game, guys, the numbers just really didn't indicate that you were going to win this game as it kept going along. We like to see West Virginia get to that 9 3-pointers made. They generally win when that happens. Got to 8, and they needed a couple of them late to close to that number. You got out-rebounded 40-31 by Utah, and that's normally a number. If you can steal the rebounding numbers, you win that game. Points off turnovers. Utah actually won that 14-13, even though they were sloppy at times. West Virginia had some uncharacteristic sloppy turnovers, especially in the first half. So things weren't looking in your direction. And then, oh, by the way, did you just ask me about free throws?
Sure.
Is that what you just said? You want to talk about free throws?
Yeah.
Ooh.
West Virginia again continues its streak of every single road game all season being called for more fouls than the home team. Here's what jumped out. I like to talk about free throw attempt rate.
Yes.
That's the number of free throw attempts divided by field goal attempts. Gives you a good marker of who gets to the line and how often they get to the line. Now, Utah's a team that gets there fairly often. 38% of the time now after the West Virginia game is about 36% going into that game. That's top 60 nationally in terms of getting to the free throw line. So did you guys hear that number? 36% going into the game.
Yes.
Hop, did you hear that? 36% of the time.
36% of the time.
Yeah, like a free throw attempt rate for them is 36% going into the year. Very good.
Yeah.
Top 55. Did I say it was 36% going into the game?
36 going in.
Okay. Mm-hmm. For the game, their free throw attempt rate was 64%. It was double that 36 for a good chunk of that time. It came down there at the end. So 64% free throw attempt rate for Utah. That's getting to the line a lot. Now, here's one that kind of jumped out at me.
Uh-oh.
You go from 36% free throw attempt rate to 64. That's a big jump.
Yes.
And that's one of the areas of concern. The other teams getting to the line that much, and they were making it. They're one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country, yet they were making free throws. So that was starting to concern as we were watching that game. Like, geez, miss some more. Help West Virginia out here a little bit. Second half free throw attempt rate.
This was crazy stat.
91%.
Let's put this into context.
Hold on, let me give one more number to it. They had 22 free throw attempts in the second half and only 24 field goal attempts.
I'm sorry, what?
They almost shot as many free throws as they had field goal attempts in the second half. Just for comparison, West Virginia's free throw attempt rate in the second half was 39%. Utah got to the line a lot. That was their third most free throw attempts on the season, their third most makes on the season. So for West Virginia to be able to overcome that number as well, where Utah was finding a way to get some easy points, West Virginia wasn't getting the free throw points advantage, wasn't getting the points off turnover advantage, and didn't make a ridiculous amount of threes and found a way to win that game. So the final numbers ended up, those are percentages. The final just raw numbers, 22 of 32 for Utah from the line. West Virginia, 11 of 16. Doubled you up in attempts.
If West Virginia had not made a couple of shots at the end, that's what you'd be leading with, Brad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's no question. There were some other things, too, I'd be leading with, which I won't. But I would have been leading with that. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So, again, a lot of credit to West Virginia for finding a way to battle through that. And really, the bulk of why you point those numbers out, because I think that's another part of West Virginia's wins this season that are really impressive. They haven't been able to get some of those free, easy points. Their free throw numbers just aren't what their opponents are on a regular basis. So how do you overcome that? Some games it's been threes. Other ways it's just been finding ways to get baskets. Points off turnovers is usually one, but you didn't win either of those categories against Utah and found a way to get out of there.
Boy, that is really, really relevant going into the next game. Although you're home, which is good, but I got an obvious stat that we'll get to.
When are you going to use it?
Well, when we get to UCF.
Oh, okay. Great win. Mark that one down. Just a great win against the Utah Utes.
Another one that you kind of had to have. It wasn't a TCU had to have,
right,
but it was way up that list of had to haves, and you got it.
And they had just beaten Kansas, Kansas State, and they ran Arizona State off the floor on Saturday. They were up like 26-7-8 against Arizona State. So they had won. They were rolling along there. Josh doing a good job. Now they got a hell of a game coming up Saturday. They got to go to BYU. And they already beat the BYUs at Utah earlier this season. So the BYUs, I mean, they will be loaded up to try to get their nemesis. It could be a long day for Utah.
Darren was really complimentary of Josh on our post-game radio show there. Just said what a great job he was doing, how much he respects him, and one of the good guys in the coaching business. And I would echo that, Tony. You and I both had a chance to talk to Josh before the game. And I tell you what, those guys fight. I mean, normally you're getting a team with a coaching change like that at the end of the season, and you're thinking, all right, there's going to be a moment here when they'll lay down. That team did not. They are clearly well coached and, again, did a nice job, and a lot of credit to West Virginia for finding a way.
Yeah.
And they made news, right? They hired their dude.
Yeah.
Alex Jensen is going to be the next coach at Utah. Always a West Virginia connection. We played against him 1998, Anaheim, California. He was on that team with Andre Miller and Michael Doliak that beat West Virginia and then went to the championship game that year, beat the Mountaineers in the Sweet 16. There's some talk there in Utah that Andre Miller could join him on his staff. Miller's currently coaching G League.
That he was one of the guys they had in mind before they hired the guy they fired.
Correct.
A couple years ago.
Correct. Also, in the next not too distant future, they're going to announce that they're going to blow up the Huntsman Center and build a new facility.
What's that facility like now?
Huntsman?
Yeah. Just a place?
Old.
Okay.
Nothing special.
They feel, again, they got to keep up. I mean, that BYU Utah,
they're bummed out.
They're
bummed
that's
out
a thing.
They're bummed out at the BYU's going out there and paying top dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So they better. You can go get whoever you want to coach your team. They got to get a lot more money in NIL. They got to get big commitments in order to compete. That's a big difference. We done with the Utes?
Yeah, we can move.
Okay, moving ahead. 3 guys brought to us by our friends at GoMart. You know, sometimes I got to tell you about these special. Get that rewards card. Here's why. You have a rewards card right now. You know anybody that eats Slim Jims? We do.
Oh, yeah.
You know anyone that drinks C4 bread?
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
Why, is there a special on C4?
You're darn tootin'. Here it is, man. Now through the end of April, Slim Jims and C4 pairing up with the ultimate tag team. Bonus rewards points. Each purchase of these items get you a Power Bomb token. You get all 5 of the tokens. You get 2,500 bonus rewards points, which means ching ching. No limit as to how many times you can do it to get the extra reward, and you get those points you can save on gas. So check it out. C4 and Slim Jims. That's a heck of a deal. Get the GoMart app, download it, get saving, and you save. Basically, you're driving your car for free. That's what it ultimately comes down to. And you get all these rewards points. It's a heck of a deal. So download the app at gomart.com or just wherever you get apps. All right, here we go. It's kind of bizarre. Last game of 20 in your league, and you haven't seen this team yet. Mm-mm. And it's UCF. Johnny Dawkins is the head coach. They've got the leading scorer in the Big 12 in Keyshawn Hall, who just has a point better difference than Javon Small. And you got Darius Johnson, who I think scored like 79 or 80 points against West Virginia when he played them last season down there at their place. They're going to go 109 miles an hour, baseline to baseline. It's going to be, here we go. What do you have?
Well, you point out Keyshawn Hall, leading scorer in the league. So it's a matchup of the 2 leading scorers in the league. You got that. You got Darius Johnson. Here's the thing about Johnson. Had 36 points against Oklahoma State. He's one of just, no, get this number. He's one of just 7 players in the league to have been at his original school for 4 years.
7.
One of 7 to have been at the same school for 4 years.
That's wild.
One of 7. So they got guys that can score. Interesting stat, and I'll be looking to Spread Zone stats to better understand this, is that the stats indicate, the obvious stats indicate they're not a great shooting team, yet they average 79 points a game. So that's interesting. Here's another figure that stands out to me, and I know Spread Zone stats will have something on this, especially since we focus on this.
He says that like you're not here. Like, hey, he'll be coming in later. Spreads on Stats will be coming in later.
When Spreads on Stats comes in, they have attempted 681 free throws. West Virginia, 444. 681, and they're shooting 78% to 444. That's 237 more free throw attempts than West Virginia. Now, maybe that changes a little bit because you're home, but I mean, that's a number that stands out.
No, they're going to put their head down. They're going to go straight to the rim.
Go to the rim, get to the line.
They're going to go straight to the rim.
UCF, they lost 7 in a row, but then they won 3 of the last 4. So who knows? I don't know. Who knows? I mean, but those are some stats that stand out to me now. Defer to spreads.
Had a 7-game Big 12 losing streak here until recently. Now they've won 3 out of 4. Won last night against Oklahoma State. 2-7 on the road in Big 12 play. Ken Palm projects this as a 77-68 West Virginia win. As you guys have mentioned, they will play fast, and they want to just get up and down and score. They've averaged 83 points per game in their Big 12 wins. So that's how they're going to try and beat you. They're going to try and just simply outscore you, which I know is the point of the game, but they're going to try and get more offense than they'll worry about defense. The most West Virginia has given up in a loss this season, Big 12, 77 to BYU, 75 to Arizona. So this will be an offense that wants to go and score and run in transition against a defense that is elite, locks you up, and is one of the very best transition defenses in the country. So which of those win out? There is a lot of isolation, ISO ball here coming in this, boys. Keyshawn Hall is going to get the ball, and it probably isn't going to be passed once it gets to him.
100%.
Like, it's going. His head's, you said, his head's going down. He's trying to get the rim, or he's going to hit a step back 3. Darius Johnson, same thing. When the ball gets to him, it probably isn't coming out. It's going to the hoop or going up as a shot as well. So this will be critical individual defense here, right? Toby O'Connor's probably going to draw Hall early. Sincere's going to draw Darius Johnson. Who wins those individual matchups early on? In 5 of 7 Big 12 wins for UCF, they've made double-digit threes. They're getting the number 7 team in the country in 3-point field goal defense in West Virginia. That's West Virginia's strength this season, has been running teams off the line or not allowing them to shoot well. In 6 of their 7 wins, their 3-point attempt rate has been 40% plus, and most of the time it's closer to 50. So that's the matchup to really watch. As much as they're going to try and run and get easy baskets, as much as they're going to try and get downhill to the basket, when they win, it generally comes from a high volume of threes that are going in. Again, West Virginia has been very good at shutting that out, so we'll watch that. They're good on the offensive glass as well. And as you guys mentioned, they get to the free throw line a lot, not as much as Utah did either before or during the West Virginia game, but they are a top 100 team in free throw attempt rate. Here's the difference, and this is the one change from what we've seen from West Virginia opponents this year that have gotten the lines a lot. They make their free throws. They're 22nd nationally in free throw percentage with those good offensive players. So if the officials are giving them a lot of foul calls and they get to the line, that's a potential concern because that's an easy way for them to get some points. So West Virginia's really good defense going against this offense that wants to get up and down. That's going to be the critical part of this.
Also have a 7'2", 235-pound freshman center who West Virginia coaches say will play in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Still young right now, but he will absolutely be a force around the basket. He had 8 blocks recently in one game. He'll also step out and shoot the 3. So they'll give you a bunch of challenges. They'll give you a bunch of challenges. This you got to bring it, and I think that the environment and the setup is really good for West Virginia. Everyone knows what's on the line, and senior day oftentimes can be polarizing. It can produce great performances from teams, or it can wig you out. Mm-hmm. My lean is that this will pump this team up, and these guys will play knowing what's out there for them. But this will be a frustrating game, I think, at time for fans because Keyshawn Hall and Darius Johnson, as you said, are going to be their lead dogs as far as taking the ball to the rim. They will draw a lot of fouls. Mm-hmm. Keyshawn Hall will pivot, spin, stick his shoulder into you. He'll do everything he can to draw contact. He's big, he's strong, and there will be those calls when fans will say, wait a second, our guy was totally vertical, and they blew the whistle. There's going to be a lot of that. Mm. So you just got to be careful.
He's in the top 1.5% of players in college basketball in fouls drawn.
Oh, yeah.
Keyshawn Hall is.
He lives for the contact. Like he goes and looks to get hit and bumped. That's what he does.
Tony, Brad, please report early in your broadcast the crew.
I haven't heard. Oh, she's Saturday. Good Lord. Who knows what you're going to get?
He's been held to single digits just 3 times all season. He has a 34-point outburst, another 34-point outburst, and a 40. Put up 40 on Arizona State The 34, one of them came against Kansas, another really good defensive team. So Hall's going to get his shots. So what you have to take advantage of with them, they're not going to be real interested in guarding you.
Excuse me?
They're not going to be real interested in guarding you.
Don't want to get back.
So get down the floor in transition. On a missed field goal, push it. On a turnover that you're going to get some turnovers. Push it the other way, try and get some easy baskets. And then as West Virginia does in half-court offense, run your sets, get some motion. They're going to be disinterested in guarding you towards the end of that shot clock and want to get out and go the other way. So that's the counter to their pace. So in addition to watching a team that wants to shoot some threes against a great defensive team in three, you're going to get a big gap in pace here. You're going to get a team in UCF that wants to go. You're going to get a team in West Virginia that's going to slow it down when it can to try and frustrate UCF, but also take advantage of some running opportunities.
What's your defensive strategery when guys... when they take it to the basket?
It's imperative that you keep them in front of
Stay in front.
Okay. Square up.
Stay in front of them, clog the lane, and have help when they go. So it's got to be both individual and it's got to be team. You've got to do both of those. Make them, and they don't do it often, make them kick it out. Okay. Go ahead and sag off. Opposite of BYU, where West Virginia didn't sag. Yeah. It encouraged the 2-point shots. It said, you want to go inside? Go inside. You want your guards to take it in? Take the shot. We're covering your shooters. This will be the opposite. This will be go down, close that lane, and say, hey, Hall and Johnson, you want to pass? You want to pass it back out? No, you don't. You want to go right in? You're going to get 3 guys.
Before the game. During the game, too. So you know that phrase in basketball? There's a phrase in basketball when they talk about a player and what he's great. Okay, breaking down Hoppy's game. Well, Hoppy's a really willing passer. Not a whole lot on this team. Not a whole lot on this team. Darius Johnson, not real willing. Keyshawn Hall, definitely not real willing passer.
Not assist leaders, is that what you're saying?
He feels that, hey, I got to score. And I'm not saying that as a negative. I mean, he thinks that he needs to score for his team. That ball's not coming out of his hand. A lot of times, man, head goes down, and here I come.
Yeah, and they have multiple guys. I mean, those two are going to get the bulk of the shots.
They got 4 guys averaging double figures.
They're going to get plus 50% of the shots just from those 2 guys. But you'll see everybody in that lineup. When they get in, they're designed to go and get their own shot. They've got some really skilled offensive guys that don't need a lot of passing and help to get their shots. They're just going to say, clear the thing out and go. West Virginia's going to be the opposite of that. Not let them clear out. Don't let them put you in space, and you clog that thing up and make them beat you that way.
They had a stunning road win in league play to open conference action at Texas Tech. Everyone went like, whoa. Yeah. And then they won at Arizona State. Since, they have lost 6 in a row. So you're going to be at home. You're going to be favored. You just need to play.
But that's the thing. You better be on high alert, too, because this is a team that has struggled, and if you just look at their record, you come into this going, okay, you got this. But because West Virginia is not a team that normally puts up a ton of points, chances are good you're going to be in this game. This is going to be another one where you're going to have to really play and hopefully break their will by the end of the game, where they've said, okay, that's enough in our final game. But I think you're going to get their best shot early with some guys that want to try and put up some points on you.
It would be a perfect scenario if West Virginia can make 4 or 5 threes in the first half, right? Get yourself another 5 or 6 in the second half and be a 10 to 11 3-point game for West Virginia. You're going to need that probably to be where you need to be.
The other thing, too, this is a side note or personal goals. This would be a nice little money-making game for Toby Oconee. I mean, he's going to be lining up against one of the best offensive players in this league that has some size. This is right in Toby's wheelhouse, right? Toby's really athletic, good length of himself, can guard. Like, here you go. Come on. Let's go. See what you got.
3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Jan Dill's Attorneys at Law. One of their specialties, and they do this nationwide, is they help military veterans when they need help getting disability benefits. And so you may be a veteran or someone in your family or someone that you know that is suffering as a result of their service in the military. I'm talking about things like PTSD, back pain, hearing loss, knee injuries, and it is an absolute chore to file these types of claims to receive disability benefits. This is something that Jan Dill's Attorneys at Law do every single day. You can check them out and get their information on their website, and the website's pretty simple, jandills.com. That's jandills.com, and they have years of experience working with military veterans when they file these disability benefits claims. And if someone that you know is struggling through situations, contact them. They will take you and we'll walk you through. It doesn't cost you a single penny until you win your case. You can give them a call, 1-877-VETERAN, or visit jandills.com for disability benefits for military veterans. And again, based in West Virginia, but they literally do that nationwide. All right. You guys ready for some healing?
Sure.
Hoppy, you've been hurt. You've been sick. You've been stuck in your house on that confinement deal. I think you do need some healing.
Absolutely.
Textual Healing brought to us by our episode800.com website. Give it a visit. You got everything and anything that you could use. Coffee. We had some great coffee on our trip to Utah. I mean, really good coffee. But you know what I kept telling him?
What?
I said, our boy Rusty. I mean, this is
better coffee.
He got nothing better. He got nothing. I mean, it's good, but it's not nothing. I mean, Rusty's right there with our Mountaineer roasting game day grind, plus all of our other stuff. Check it out. From Joe Mock, I'm extremely relieved to get the win in Salt Lake, but man, 32 free throws to 16, that's got to end. Also, you mentioned on your last episode the 5-year-old miracle twins, Sawyer and Mason. It prompted me to set up a monthly donation to WVU Children's Medicine Hospital. The athletic department isn't the only part of the school that deserves our giving. So thank you very much. That was the lawman's kids.
Yeah, thanks,
right?
Joe.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. High scope spreads and studio hop. Feels like the year has flown by faster than most. Seems like yesterday was Thanksgiving. We're in the Bahamas. Now, Saturday, Mountaineer mascot is named, the new one. Hard to believe. So much has changed. But what hasn't is that DeVries knows his way to coach and has elevated the program to no two ways about it. I'm also happy about Neil getting a job at Texas. No matter what the people said about him, he's a classy guy, deserves another spot.
I got a little intel on that.
Joe in Charleston.
I actually was texting with him a little bit, and Neil said that he wants to stay in coaching, and he wanted to take a year off from all the responsibilities of head coaching. And he certainly, I think that speaks to how well he's respected that he's been hired on the staff of a blue blood program, number one. And number two, I think that positions him well if he stays there for a couple of years, if he wants to be a head coach again. And number three, it also reduces the payout. He's due $9.5 million over the next 4 years, but that will now be reduced by the amount he's paid at Texas. I'm not sure how much that is, but it will be reduced by that amount.
Eric from New Jersey. Guys, I married into the WVU family. Love listening to you guys. Brad, I want to give you props for never talking over Tony or getting excited and shouting over him during the broadcast. One of my pet peeves as a sports fan listener. I really enjoy syncing you guys. Feel like I learned something every broadcast. Let's keep it going as long as we can. Let's go Mountaineers. Eric from New Jersey.
Thanks, Eric. He's obviously missed a few of my yelling over him. Thank you, Eric.
I was going to say, you probably didn't listen to our last broadcast, and I'm not saying it for him. I think at one point, Hoppy, I told him after I went and listened back, I sounded like a fan. They called one of the phantom timeouts. Like, you can't do that! Happened right in front of us. Texter.
You said that?
He
I did.
No, my contribution was on the last inbounds play of the game. I'm imploring Joe to not foul. As if I was coaching. Don't foul! No fouls!
Let me just say this.
While he's trying to call the play.
You guys are, let's just say you're engaged.
We're into it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just trying to get a win.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that.
Texter, any consideration for a Rich Rod Mention Index, the RMI? I think we could do that.
Yeah, we'll have it.
Yeah.
Texter, hello, 2.5 guys. Nick from Elkview. I wanted to share some photos. My wife and I's trip to Nashville this weekend. Way too many West Virginia connections to share. Most important, I went to the Grand Ole Opry. Charles Wesley performed. Charles Wesley Govan, of course. Mm-hmm. To make it even better, Opry did a promotion. First 80 purchased a Charles New Lonely Mountain Town CD, get an exclusive performance, Q&A with Chuck after the show. Mike was passed for the Q&A. It was obvious West Virginia had an incredible presence. Out of the 10 random people selected for questions, 8 were from or had West Virginia connections. Overall, awesome weekend. Let's go Mountaineers. So we had sent some pictures there with Chuck as well. Charles, there he is, on stage, Hop. That's called the Grand Ole Opry. They play music there in Nashville.
Yeah, world famous.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
Absolutely.
He is crushing it.
He just had his billboard Times Square this past weekend.
Jeez.
Amazing, right?
He's really killing it.
Yeah, he is. That's awesome. Nathan, Charleston, South Carolina writes, we need a foodie update. How was the cougar tail? Well, it was quite embarrassing, to be quite honest with you. They brought us this cougar tail.
Excuse me?
Down there at BYU. Hey, among the pictures Jake, there's the big super long cougar tail chocolate thing. That's the cougar. Look at my hand, and that thing went that. So they gave that to me right before the game started.
Oh, you can't do that.
And I put it back in the box, and I put it underneath the table. Guess what I forgot when I left?
Oh, you left it there?
Yeah, left it. But he ate.
So they didn't just give it to him. I mean, he made it sound like they just gave it to him. They gave it to all of us there.
Okay.
I went ahead and ate mine.
The whole thing?
3/4.
Gosh, that thing is gigantic.
I mean, he brags about how he can eat. He half-assed it and just put it away. Didn't eat it. I just said, thank you very much. Take that. Eat it right now.
Charlie from Midlothian, blood, literally, and guts win. This team never gives up despite height and foul shots attempted disadvantage. I jumped out of my chair when that second phantom timeout was called, screaming at the TV, they're out of timeouts. Tee them up. Let's finish the season with a big win against UCF. Brad, what happened on that second one?
It was ruled an inadvertent whistle.
Was there not? But
it was ridiculous.
You're really supposed to have possession before a timeout is granted. That's how I understand the rule.
Texter.
2 instances where there wasn't really possession. There was
Terrible. Hey, fellas, I'm grateful for DeVries, but I think he needs to become more demonstrative on the road. Free throw disparity is getting out of hand. West Virginia took 12 more shots inside the arc. Utah took 16 more free throws. Bizarre. Grateful. In Washington State, Sean. So my thought on that, and I wrote him back. I don't know if I wrote back to him or not. I disagree. Normally, I am all about jumping into an official. I think the way that game played out, if Darren would have had lost his noodle as close as that game was, and you put them on the line to shoot two and give them a possession, could have lost the game.
Agree.
Yeah.
And I think we got some.
Agree.
We got the right call when it absolutely mattered.
Yeah,
the most.
I think that's a misnomer that you've got to scream and yell and holler and go nuts to get foul calls. I get what you're saying. I get the frustration. It's shared by everyone around the program, but I don't know that. I think you're right in that particular case. That would not have worked in that situation.
Sean in Raleigh, in essence, wrote a long text, but basically what he's saying is there's so much money that these leagues are into now, and we're complaining about the officiating all the time. Go out, develop a whole system to develop officials and use them in your league. There's so much money. And to be quite honest with you, I think he has a point. But obviously, the decision makers, the league, the presidents, the conference athletic directors, as much as they want to bitch about the officiating, they're not willing to spend the money to do it. That's the bottom line. 3 guys, thanks for taking time to say hello. Take a picture. You guys are both class acts. I finally got to wear my thanks for having us shirt in real time after a win.
Yay.
Plane ride will feel better and my cold beer more satisfying. Until next time, Yogi from remember Chris, Salt Lake City, Hoppy?
Yeah.
Got a picture made with him.
Good to talk
we
with
finally
him.
got to meet Yogi Chris from Salt Lake City. Got our picture made with him before the game.
There he is.
All right.
That's him. That's what he looks like.
Finally, we know.
I always thought he would look different, like as Yogi Chris. Like I thought he'd look more like a yogi guy, maybe hair bun, something like that.
Hair bun.
You know, those guys. You know,
I don't know what made you think that. I mean,
those yoga people have a different look. Don't say they don't. Lululemon and all that kind of stuff. I thought he'd be there in tights. Brett from North Carolina here traveled to Utah with 5 WVU grads to ski the past 5 days we took in the BYU and the Utah games. BYU was an amazing environment. Glad we can overcome sketchy officiating at the end of the Utah game. Immediately after, I found Yogi Chris, a frequent 3-guy texter, and to take a selfie of his shirt and shout out his taste in WVU gear. So then he came in there. There's Yogi Chris again wearing the shirt that says, thanks for having us. Pre and post Yogi Chris. Tony and Brad, the only thing better than a Mountaineer win is seeing Utah's big. This is a great one here, Hoppy. Remember the little kid? Were you here when that little kid in Utah was a huge Utah fan? His grandfather lives in West Virginia, and the kid ran out into the street and had to say, I love the Mountaineers after West Virginia beat Utah here. He had a Pat White T-shirt on.
Yes.
Well, guess what?
What?
He came to the game, and his mom brought him up to us afterwards. There's a little guy right there. That's Owen. And we had our picture made with him. Yeah. And he was very nice, but you could tell he's a Utah fan. Was a little disappointed that the Utes had just lost. But it was great to meet the little guy.
He was there.
Yeah.
Showed up.
Joe from Boaz asking a question of the senator. What's West Virginia's men's team's points per possession after a timeout nationally? Where do we rank? Pretty good
question.
Right?
Yeah, 0.822 points per possession coming out of a timeout, top 25% nationally. It's third in the Big 12.
Is that because Neil Brown? I mean, is that because Coach DeVries
runs good stuff?
Runs good stuff.
Yeah. Rob from Buchanan.
A little time to prepare and explain what you want to have done. Carves it up. Yeah.
Rob from Buchanan, listening to the TCU recap, you guys I made a reference to Festus and Gunsmoke. That was Chester, who had the pirate leg. How do I know this? I've watched every episode with my wife. She's a Gunsmoke freak. And I wrote back to him. I said, well, it wasn't like, Festus was walking around looking like Jack LaLanne. You know what I mean?
He had a hitch in his giddy up as well.
Exactly right. Hey, three guys, when my wife remodeled our house, she did it without regard to my WVU pictures, less wall space, less room for pictures. Can either of you use these as a giveaway or an auction item? The pictures don't do the frames justice. They're nicely framed. This guy's got two really nice pictures that Dale Spark had taken. He's got Owen Schmidt and the Fiesta Bowl running, and then he's got another one of Steve Slayton in the Sugar Bowl. So if someone's interested in those, this cat lives in Ashland, Kentucky. Let me know. We'll figure something out. But
I think the larger issue is that those are nice. Those are nice images.
Those are expensive.
And the wife just said, "Yeah."
Hey, listen. Forget about the man cave. Tell her you're putting those in your master bedroom. John from Kaiser. Quick observation. Multiple games this season. We're leading at the end, appearing to be comfortable. Then we struggle to inbound the ball. Several of these situations, Javon Small nowhere to be found to receive the inbound. Why wouldn't you want your best ball handler handling it? Late situations. The only thing I can think of is being used as decoy. What are your thoughts? He's been around some. I understand what you're saying, but here's the most incredible stat that we figured this one out. End of Cincinnati, end of Utah. Okay? The final 12 seconds combined of those two games, West Virginia's given up 11 points. Let me say it again. The last 12 seconds of Cincinnati and Utah, 12 combined seconds, they gave up 11 points and won both games.
2-0. Some of that you want Javon out of there because they a lot of times put two guys right on him, so you're trying to clear space. In those situations, what kills you the most is lack of space. So you're trying to open the floor up, and in the Utah one, you just needed to get it in a couple of times, as was obvious in that situation. There wasn't enough time left. It is amazing. There's just some weird things have happened. West Virginia falls in a lake against Baylor right underneath the basket and somehow can't get a shot off.
It was a wet spot. It was a wet spot. It wasn't a lake.
Giant lake under the basket there. I don't know how it got there. And Jonathan Powell, for some reason, nobody around him, just like Ghost in Utah's arena, pushes him on the inbound. There wasn't a defender there.
Three guys before the game is brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Bit snowy, bit cold maybe out there today. Windy out there as well. However, the clocks are turning here.
This weekend.
That's this weekend?
Yeah.
We spring ahead this weekend?
Spring ahead.
Did not know that.
Which means we're that much closer to more daylight, more boating time. Lou Wendell Marine Sales has been in business for over 50 years. We were talking with a guy on our trip that had purchased a pontoon from Lou Wendell. And he goes, you know what he told us?
What?
He said, they sell Avalon boats. I said, they sell Avalon boats? Yeah, we know they sell Avalon boats. He goes, those are great boats. They've been doing that since the 1970s. Avalon's been making those in Michigan. So if you're ready for boating season and you've been thinking about a pontoon, all kidding aside, Lou Wendell, there they are right there. Lou Wendell is the premier pontoon boat dealer in our state. If you're interested, check them out. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. Also, if you take one out, you put the overhang out there, right? And you start off early in a day, you're going to want a Tudor's biscuit because, Tudor's and Lou Wendell, basically a marriage. You bring a lot of good, hearty food out there onto the boat. Tudor's Biscuit World, right now with that unbelievable special, they've got 4 different items that you can buy. You buy one and you get the other one for just $1. The Dottie, the sausage biscuit, the Peppy, and the hash brown. Buy one, regular price. Get the other for just $1. Check it out. Tudor's Biscuit World did not find one of those in Utah, but doggone, they could use one. And they're franchising as well, so if you are interested in franchising, they're available to get a franchise. Texter asked this question. Would you rather be a first-round exit losing by 10 or more points in the NCAA tournament or win the NIT? NCAA. We've
talked about this a bunch. I loved winning that NIT tournament. That was a blast.
I don't know. I think I
Give
go.
me in the NCAA tournament this year. This particular team, I want to see them in the tournament.
This team was built to go to the NCAA tournament.
Deserves to be in the tournament.
All of these guys that came here, they had one goal. They'd never been in. They want to be in the NCAA tournament. The NIT would be an absolute non-starter for them. They would not be engaged.
Real quick, one note on that. West Virginia continues to be solidly in the field. Did not move as much. Some of these numbers, man, didn't move much at all after a quad win road win over Utah, but moved 1/10 of a point. Here's what's interesting. It was good that West Virginia had a night off last night. That improved its ranking by not playing, more so than it did playing and beating Utah on the road. Neither here nor there. You're solidly in as a 10 seed, still 9.97, second lowest or second best 10 seed. You continue to remain in every single bracket on bracketmatrix.com.
Rate your plate. Hey, Yin's like 3 tacos. I made all homemade corn tortillas, chicken, El Pastor, salsa, guacamole. Take a look at this plate. That was a hell of a plate the guy got.
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah. That is a classic traditional plate color for a taco.
Yeah.
In Provo, some guys we went with, we didn't go with them on Friday night, went to an Italian restaurant that served their food on similar colored plates. They came back and said it was the only Italian place they've ever been to in their life that basically was Mexican-Italian. And it was not a good night to be a Mountaineer eater there.
Wow.
However, on our trip,
you guys killed it.
Hey, Jake, roll some of those rate my plate pictures here on this trip. Those food pictures that I had sent along. Calamari with hot peppers, perfect. Wedge salad, just absolutely fantastic. How about that little bone-in ribeye, Hoppy?
Oh, like blackened? Is that
No, it was perfect.
All right.
They call that perfect. They didn't say which way you want. You just want it perfect.
Okay.
What else do we have here? That was the dessert.
Oh, man.
You had
Coconut cream pie.
How do you guys eat all this
creme
and not
brulee,
gain weight?
Espresso cake.
espresso. I'll tell you in a second the answer. What else do we have here, Jake? Anything else? Oh, that was the whipped brie with walnuts with the focaccia that we had at Mateo's restaurant in Salt Lake City. That was tremendous. Look at these veal chops. That's a full-size plate, and that bone is hanging off of that plate. That was done. That was wonderful. Also, what do we got here, Jake? That was my cacio de pepe pasta with just wonderful. It was tremendous. What else we got here, Jake? That was another one of those veal. That was just a plain veal chop that was pounded out, and that was my post-game meal. This is a funny story. Post-game meal after the Utah game, so it's like 10 o'clock at night, which is basically midnight back home. And I said, I got a hell of a problem here because that thing was spicy. So he and I went up to the workout room after I ate it. So now it's like midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. Don't even know what time it is. Everything's just dizzy. Got on the treadmill, said, they say if you walk for 10, 15 minutes after you eat and go to bed, it's better. So that's what I did.
Did it work?
Yeah. Looked great.
Brad?
Worked well.
Well, he didn't finish his pizza. I finished mine.
Oh, gosh, you guys just...
So here's the answer to your question. Combined on our trip, Provo, and we walked over 25 miles.
Really?
Yeah, we were banging six. We were banging basically 6 a day.
6 a day, that's good.
It was good.
Of course, you also ate
Oh, yeah.
tremendous meals.
Coffee was great. It was all good. Final. Went on a weekend trip with my wife, cousin, girlfriend, Pigeon Forge. I'm wearing a WVU golf hoodie. Ranger says, if I played golf at WVU, I'd laugh, said I wish I could. He proceeds to tell me he's from Elkins. I laughed and said, yep, always a West Virginia connection.
I did have one West Virginia connection when I was in Waco at the ball game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but ran into a woman where we were eating at the restaurant, and she saw my West Virginia cap. She says, I used to live in, I forget what the county was, West Virginia. So there was one.
That was good.
In Waco.
You had one.
Yeah.
That was great. We haven't talked to you since we brought you to the ball game.
Oh, yes, you have. I've been on every show.
No, I mean, but in person.
By the way, hey, shout out WVU women's team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Double bye.
Double bye.
Yeah, open up tomorrow, which will be Friday.
Automatically in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Talked to an usher
Excuse
game
me?
On Saturday at Utah.
Yeah.
First guy I talked to came right up.
Yeah.
His parents lived in Wheeling.
Of course they did.
Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they?
I'll end with that.
Yeah, why
Welcome home, guys.
Yeah, we're leaving again. We're going. Yeah, so our schedule will be...
Got to go win the Big 12 championship and then the World Championship after
That's
that,
right.
Kirchhoff.
Kansas City next week.
Line up.
When you leaving?
Well, if we get a bye, we're going to leave Monday. If we don't get a bye, we're going to leave Sunday. So that next week, just subscribe to the show. Otherwise, I don't know.
Maybe I'll host here and you guys be at a remote studio.
Nah. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by
Jeez.
Jan Dills, attorneys at
help
law.
out.
They won't take no for an answer. By Comex Business Systems,
yourself
keeping West
then.
Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years.
Trying to help out.
I mean, what gives you any idea that you would have the capability to sit at this microphone and host
Yes,
anything?
it's very complicated. I don't
Right?
think I could do it.
He's never done that before.
Never.
I mean, I don't know if you could do that.
What
Hoppy.
button do I push? You have three, but you have two elements you have to play, and you have trouble with that.
Hey, the retired guy's going, I got to get back in front of the big microphone. I need to hit the big microphone. They make me sit over there now every time I come. I want my microphone back.
I'm going to go back into home confinement.
Three Guys brought to us by GoMart. Get a GoMart rewards card. Go to GoMart.com. Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World, start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's Biscuit. And by Conley's CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. What Hoppy doesn't know is since he retired, we put an invisible fence around here. He's got the thing. If he comes near the main console, he gets zapped. All right, we're out. Thanks for being with us. And again, don't know about next week, but subscribe. And if you subscribe, you'll get the program. See you.